Shabbat Shalom. This Shabbat, we read Parshat Bamidbar. We begin the book of Numbers. And the book of Numbers gets its name because there it begins, and towards the end as well, there are great countings. There's a census of the Jewish people in our Parsha, another one towards the end of the book. Rashi points out the significance of beginning Sefer Bamidbar with a count, and says, Mitochi batan lefanav mone'otam kol sha'ah, because they were dear to him, because the Jewish people were dear to God, God counts them at each moment. Keshetzu Mitzrayim min'am, we left Egypt, when many fell and died in the aftermath of the sin of the golden calf, they were counted to know precisely how many were left. When the time came for God's presence to rest amongst them, they were counted. The first of Nisan, the Mishkan, the tabernacle, was erected, and on the first of Iyar, again, they were counted, and that's the count that begins Sefer Bamidbar. This comment of Rashi, first of all, is in fitting, as I've said, on multiple occasions, with Rashi's general decision to begin each book of the Torah with a commentary that says something nice and encouraging and positive about the Jewish people. And this Rashi is also in keeping with, I think, a very significant and timely form of love. There is a love which is an instinctual emotion that kind of generates bold action, that sometimes precedes deliberate thought, and then there's the kind of love which inspires counting and careful, detailed, specific, particular knowledge and analysis. And that's the form of love that's celebrated at the beginning of Sefer Bamidbar, and that's a form of love that I believe we see exhibited in the Jewish community this very week. For the first time in many weeks, there are shuls in our area in Chicago that have opened or facilitated minyanim, and throughout the country there are shuls that have been shut entirely for a number of months, which are slowly beginning to open. And each shul is making that decision in light with local conditions. What is the spread of the virus where the shul is located? What are local health officials saying? And then the shul's leadership is figuring out what is the responsible form of action. Here in Chicago, the shuls that have opened are all shuls that are affiliated with Agudat Yisrael, the Haredi Orthodox advocacy and policy organization. Here in Chicago, the CRC, the larger Orthodox organization, is calling for patience and waiting a bit longer before thinking about how and when to open shuls in any fashion. And nationally, the OU and the Rabbinical Council of America are calling for a great deal of patience and delay before even considering how and when to open shuls. Meaning, we don't just wait until it's legal, we wait and are machmir, we're strict, we're extra careful when it comes to protecting the lives of our community and those amongst whom we live. The great Torah scholar of Usher Weiss, who we've studied in many occasions in our shul, this past week announced that the Israeli Ministry of Health, he said they're overly lenient. He had sharper words there. He says, Mekel and Al-Haaretz, overly lenient, not sufficiently informed by Torah knowledge in their declaration that in Israel, at least, the shuls can open. He felt we have to wait. It's important to wait and be extra strict when it comes to human life. I believe everyone is making these types of choices in goodwill, with a great deal of responsibility, and necessarily this decision is going to look different in every community. Each community has a different risk profile. Each community has a different tolerance for risk, and even the physical construction of every shul is somewhat different. The process, however, that our communities are going through, I believe, illustrates precisely the kind of love that Rashi is speaking about at the beginning of this week's parsha. It's not the love that inspires bold, dramatic action that precedes thought. It's the kind of love that pours itself into motivating that very kind of careful, deliberate, precise investigation, that the time of the Torah meant a census, and in our time means a different kind of census and evaluation. Looking at from up high and then down into the particulars, into our communities and how they're comprised and what's a way to keep our communities safe. Okay, we are delaying and being very, very careful out of a great love for what synagogue life can entail, out of a great devotion to what Tefillah B'Tzibur, communal prayer, is about, and communal life more broadly is about, what it's for. And out of that love and out of that appreciation comes this strong, strong desire to be deliberate. So that deliberate process is going to continue for additional weeks. And as things begin to open up, please God, they will. It'll continue for additional months as we're able to do more and more with more of us in more ways. Please God, in the coming months until our communal life is restored. But throughout this process, the frustration that we feel at not being able to once again all pour back into shul and pour back into each other's lives in direct physical ways, that frustration is natural, but the delay is every much as much a form of love as any bold and dramatic and more romantic action that could be imagined. I miss you all dearly. I miss the shul dearly, and hope you have a relaxing Shabbat and a blessed Shabbat. Please stay safe and please take care of yourselves and of one another. Shabbat Shalom.